eventually what happens, okay, so the short of the long is we've got a young lady. She has gotten a divorce from her hey Vila, has gotten a divorce from her husband and really now is with these new guys, and she's wondering why she hasn't been able to orgasm. And the short of the long is that there's a number of reasons that could be the case, but I think the thing we have to keep in mind is that after you break up with someone that's been emotional, you were married, so on and so forth, what happens is you just have trouble trusting. And when you actually ejaculate inside of somebody or orgasm with them and have this moment, it really does require sometimes a little bit of trust depending on the person. So the reason why you're having trouble having an orgasm with these other guys may just because you may be just protecting your heart. Because keep in mind, after a lady has an orgasm, she typically has a flood of oxytocin. So if oxytocin is there to make you feel close, to make you feel connected, to like make you almost damn near fall in love with somebody, why would you really want this at this point since you just broke up with someone? So this may be your heart and your mind and your body really just trying to protect yourself long term. So I really wouldn't worry about it. And when you find someone that you trust enough to orgasm with, you probably will. But you kind of have to let go of the past in order to kind of move forward and into the future. So that's a fairly common complaint, so I wouldn't get hung up over that. Okay, so you can't come with your new guys. That's okay. Just stick it out, because oftentimes it's not really about the orgasm anyway. It's about the experience. So there's way more to it than that. Hey, Deborah. Good to see you, Deborah. So that's the first question. So the short of the long is, don't get hung up on trying to orgasm with everybody, and don't get hung up on trying to make everybody orgasm with you, because it's really more about the connection, the experience, and there are a lot of reasons why someone could choose not to have an orgasm. And I say choose because you can talk to some people who will tell you, well, I can have an orgasm with anybody, no matter how terrible the sex is. They figure out ways to get off. So eventually, people who are really in tune with themselves sexually, they really have that type of power of being able to get turned on and get to the moment regardless of what else is going on. Madeline, do you need to go out there? Okay, come here. Is that your friend outside? Okay. So we're taking a live break. Let me put her up. Go see your friend. Just don't make a lot of noise. All right, sorry about that. My little doggy's friend was outside, so she wanted to go see. Okay, so then the next question. So I've been getting a lot of questions about cheating and fidelity and things like that. And if you know me, you know that I love to keep couples together, but I also recognize that with anything, sometimes it's time to go, it's time to move on. And so I think that honestly, if you've been at something long enough and you tried and you've done everything you can, sometimes that's important too, that you decide, maybe this isn't right. So let me see. My next question comes from a young lady who's been in a relationship for a while. She's done a lot of stuff to try to make it work, and it doesn't seem to be working. Now, I also got a question today from a young lady who cheated on her husband, but she did it in a way, she sent me a message. She's like, I cheated on him and I did it in a way that you don't really talk about very often. And so I was like, did I forget something? Am I not being as thorough as I thought? But what she meant was that she actually had cheated on him with a guy, but it was in exchange for money. And that the husband found out about it because she had met with the guy 4 times. And so the task becomes trying to convince the husband that this was just an exchange of money and there were no feelings involved. So I'll talk about that one in a second. But let me read the next question, which is, okay. Hi, Dr. Rachael. Oh, is that this one? This one. Oh, okay. I'm trying to find the beginning of the question because she and I went back and forth. Okay. Let's see. Well, I think I'm missing a file here. What I do is I try to take screenshots of these so that I can read them. And let's see, 35, 36, 23. Oh. But I love it when ladies ask me questions. They always say afterwards, "Is it okay if I delete these?" You know, they're always they always know to kind of destroy evidence. Whereas the guys, I have to tell them, I was like, "Okay, now that we've talked and you've sent me your question, could you please delete these? I don't want anyone coming after me saying, 'What type of advice did you give? Who is this lady?'" You know, always delete, delete, delete. Okay, let me see if I can find the beginning of this question. This young lady's question is more so about a problem she's having in terms of a long-term relationship, and she's wondering what she can do. You know, she's kind of wondering if it's time to give up on it. So let me see if I can find the top of the question. I have the beginning and the middle of it. So basically, just to set the scene up, she's been with this gentleman for the majority of her adult life, and she says, basically, you know, I don't know where the first page is, so we're just going to dive in right here. "Might I add that it's not laziness or lack of want. He's the hardest working man I know, but his thoughts on money are very lax. Therefore, he works a lot. He doesn't get paid for his services. People skip out a lot on it, and he's just like, oh, well." So basically, her whole thing is that she has been supporting the household, and as a result of it, she's just not sexually attracted to him anymore. She kind of gotten to the point where she doesn't really see him as like a man, you know. She's just kind of like, ugh. Basically along the lines of, "You're not supporting me, you're not taking care of the house, I have to do all of this work. Like, why would I want to have sex with you?" So she's kind of going through it, basically describing to me that he's not lazy, you know, he really works hard, but money isn't a priority for him, right? And so it says, he does get that blah, 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 blah. All right, so I read that. Someone's messaging me too, so I was trying to read that. Oh, let me see. I see. Facebook and Instagram are having some troubles right now, so you may be able to see me and you may not. But Block, you have no answers? Hey, how's it going? Yeah, this is a tough one. And then she goes on to say that we've tried family counseling, but there's always what he wishes he could do more. And she emphasizes wishes as if to say he's wishing, but he's not doing. Okay? My issues is I'm very vocal and I've stated my needs. My needs continue to go unmet. I feel like I can't provide. I feel like if you can't provide, then I can't do all what I do and provide sex. Now, this is a complaint I've been hearing a lot. It's kind of along the lines of, okay, so you want me to be the woman, you want me to suck you off, you want me to come home from work and cook, you want me to clean the house, you want me to work all day, and then you're not doing your part. So as a result of it, the relationship takes a hit. I get it. I feel like if I can't provide, then I can't do all what I do and provide sex. Makes sense. We're only doing as good as I'm doing, and I'm doing damn good for a single woman with no help. So basically, he's not contributing anything to the household. She's always paying for everything. And I tell her, okay, well, I'll definitely answer your question. Let me see what else she says. And she says, I've been in this relationship since she was 19. She turns 40 this year. So she's been in this relationship almost 20 years. She's at the point in her life where she is about to have a milestone birthday. So she's really thinking about her future. And my issue is, she says, he's a very good protector, but not a provider. So she's the breadwinner. And the thing is, if I made enough money for everything, I wouldn't have an issue, but I don't. So I'm struggling with being intimate because I'm also struggling financially. I've incurred a ton of debt because we're not equally yoked financially. And I don't believe in having sex with a man when I'm struggling to pay my bills. Yes, I understand, but I feel like his thought process has crossed over from childish mindset to something that is ingrained in his head. There's been no infidelity on both parts. I'm just not interested in laying with a man, then getting up and still struggling to pay my bills. I really don't see the point. Yeah, I don't see the point in being in a relationship where I feel like I'm doing all the work. Even if we didn't have money issues, I don't feel valued. Feeling valued is extremely important. Then add the money issue, and it's a no-go for me. And times when I let my guard down and just don't do it, I feel extremely guilty, like he doesn't deserve it. So I know it's a mind game, but I legit need help. Wow. So that's a pretty powerful statement. She says, I'm miserable, I'm struggling not to be bitter, and I don't want to waste another 20 years. I should add that we did have to apply for his citizenship, but still, he has this strong ego that is holding us back. I feel like I've grown so much because I was 19 and he's grown so little because he was already a full adult when we got together. Oh, by the way, he's 20 years older than her, I think. And I'm tired. So I said, okay, I'm going to answer with a video. So that's why I've taken time today to make sure that I reach out, because I feel you. This situation is very difficult, but I think you've gone to counseling. You've been very clear about what it is that you want and what you don't want. You sound very over the relationship, and you sound as though you hit 40. You know that this is an important milestone, and you sound as though maybe you don't want to do it with this gentleman. And I honestly can't say that as a professional or as a woman that I honestly blame you. Sounds like you're exhausted. You've been working hard. He still has expectations of you as a wife, but you feel like he's not meeting his demands as a man. And let's face it, there are roles in relationships, and they do exist. And when it doesn't feel like somebody is meeting their role, that is a deal breaker. You've gone to counseling. You've sought help. You've done all the things you should have done. You've been there for 20 years. And I guess you're asking me, it almost sounds like, and when we're doing coaching, a big part of it is we give people permission to feel and permission to think and permission to do. And so I want to give you permission to understand that we all get it, that people can't sometimes stay together forever. And that we also understand that if you gave him some space and separated for a little bit of time, maybe he would decide to get himself back together. But I hear financial ruin here. I don't see how you can get your finances back together with things the way they are now. I see you guys have tried counseling and therapy, and that hasn't helped either. Sometimes people need a break and a holiday from you, in order to say, hey, maybe I am going to do better. And then during that break, they either do better, they do worse, or they do nothing. And I think that at this point, you're asking whether or not you should go. Well, I can't answer that, but I can certainly say that from a professional standpoint and a sister friend standpoint, that, if you're ready to go, nobody can blame you there. I think you always have to weigh your pros and cons. You'll be single, and it'll be scary, but will it be worth it? What positives does this person bring to the relationship? Making a list of all of the things that you love about them, and then the things that don't work for you, can really kind of help you see a little clarity here. But at the end of the day, no, I get it, and I definitely can understand why you're fed up. I would never say leave somebody, but I can definitely say that when you weigh out your options and you weigh out the pros and cons, if the cons of staying are way out of sync with the pros, then, it may be time to think about something else, okay? Now, for my other question, which comes on the back of that, I got this early this morning about a young lady who, very professional woman. She's in the healthcare field. She happened to be out at the strip club, and she met a gentleman that gave her a proposal of sex in exchange for money. And so she did it. And she did it 4 times. And unfortunately, after the 4th time, the husband kind of got suspicious and checked her phone tracking and tracked her to this hotel. So you think hotel, you think affair, and the struggle then becomes, how do you convince somebody that this was an affair of a transactional nature and not an affair of the heart. Okay, so I think the problem here is you have a professional who had sex for money, and I think her husband is shocked and just like, oh my God, how does this happen? And so she wrote me because she was not only embarrassed about it, but she also, hey, Tony, Mac, but she also wrote me because she's embarrassed, but also because she just is really sad because he's really hurt. He's been crying. What we know about people once they get cheated on, they go through like what we consider to be trauma, like a post-traumatic stress disorder. They're anxious, they're angry, they're volatile, they're not sleeping. They, sometimes even have nightmares about it. So this happened, he found out about it less than a week ago. So in the early stages of when someone finds out that you've betrayed them or had an affair on them, those early stages, you do have to take a pause and you just have to step back and say, okay, they've got to vent, they've got to cry, they've got to be angry, and nothing I say is going to help this situation any. She obviously still wants to stay with her husband and is really sorry that this happened. So, but also what you don't want to do at this point is answer too many sex-based questions. Did you suck? Did you lick? Did you this? Did you that? This is not the time for that, and you should never really answer those questions because even though it seems like it's going to make things better, it doesn't. It makes things worse. And this is definitely not the time to try to justify why you had the affair. When we have to keep in mind that every time there's an affair or something doesn't go right, everybody has a part or a role that they played in that. We're not going to place blame, but when you understand that there's a role that everybody plays in it, then you also understand that in order to get over the affair and move on, that at some point we got to discuss how this happened and what we can do to prevent it from happening the next time. In her case, they were broke, they were in financial ruin, a holiday was coming up and she couldn't pay for it, so this opportunity pops up and so she did it. And, the sexologist in me and the professional in me is telling her, don't panic. This is going to be, let's give it some time. Of course he's angry right now. They're going to counseling soon. But I think at the early stages of someone finding out that you've cheated on them or had an affair, you have to keep in mind you got to hold it together. You've got to be very truthful about a lot of different things. You got to come clean about it. And then the big thing is you got to give them time to heal from it. I think oftentimes we want to rush it. We're just kind of like, gosh, you talking about this again? But really at the end of the day, you've got to give the person time to adjust to the fact that this happened and to adjust to what it is that you're saying. So then the part becomes you have to ask what their needs are after that. So as things start to mellow out, what do they need from you in order to feel more comfortable and more confident in the relationship, right? So they give you a list of things. Sometimes it's things like, I need a vow renewal ceremony. I need a new ring. Sometimes it's, you can't go to the gym anymore. No more personal trainers of the opposite sex. The list goes on and on. But when a person makes the list, you have to look at it and say, yes, I can, or yes, I can't stick with these. And this is how we start to move forward. Then the next part is you got to grow from it. You got to figure out what went wrong in the first place. The reason why one of us would decide to betray the other. So you figure that out and put checks and balances in place so that it doesn't happen again. Then the next most important part is the process of rebuilding trust, right? And rebuilding trust is really the process of, trust can't be built or rebuilt overnight. And it's not built off of the big things, it's built off of the tiny things, right? Remember the first time your love, you were sick and you figured, well, I'm sure they don't want to be around me because I'm sick. Or I have cramps, or, somebody just died and I'm not in a good mood. But instead of going out with their friends, they showed up. They brought some food, they comforted you, they watched movies with you, things like that. That's how trust is built, off of the small things. Your car breaks down and they show up, out of the blue, like, well, I just wanted to make sure everything was okay. Small things like, I forgot my lunch, and then you look up and they're standing there with lunch. That's how trust is built, off of the small things. And so in an instant, when you cheat on somebody, you break the trust, but it takes time to rebuild it, and you can't rush it. So I told the young lady, I said, look, it's just been a week. You're rushing things, slow things down, get out the house, do things you guys enjoy, try to remember why you ended up together in the first place. And that's where rebuilding starts. And in their case, they are definitely going to need some form of counseling, because at the end of the day, it's difficult to know and to visualize your person with another person. But it's even harder sometimes if there's a financial transaction involved, because you got to deal with, gosh, I didn't make enough money, so they felt like they had to go out and screw for money. That's a big one. And then the other part of this is all the lying. She had to lie to hide it. So now she's got to come back and rebuild all this trust that was annihilated with this one bad decision. So with all of the relationship drama that's been kind of happening, and you guys been sending me these messages, one, we only got one shot at this thing called life, right? So if there is a situation that you're in that is holding you back from experiencing life in the way that you need to, then I'd venture to say it is time to think about alternative arrangements. And on the flip side of that, when you love somebody and you hurt them, then you've got to really work to do what it takes to try to rebuild some of that. Because ultimately, it can happen. You can rebuild, but it takes patience, it takes empathy, and it takes you kind of morphing into somebody you've never been before in order to get things back on track. And I've seen couples rebound from affairs in a way where they're even stronger after the affair than they were before. So don't fret. Okay, so keep the questions coming. I love being able to help you guys with these questions. They're ranging from health-related questions to sex and relationships, because I am a family medicine physician and a clinical sexologist, and I love answering these questions for you guys, so no worries there. For those of you who love this and love what I'm doing and love coaching people through their love and their sex lives and their tragedies and their triumphs, you might be perfect as a sexuality coach or a love coach or an intimacy coach. So we've got some free training designed to, give you a little taste of what it's like to be a sexologist. So definitely check. There's a link in all my bios to where the free training is. If you're on Facebook watching this, you can message me and I'll send you more information. If you're on IG, link is in the bio. So there's so many different ways to find out more information about this. It's a career that's fun. It's exciting, and you really do get to help people in ways that you never thought possible, right? You've got nutrition coaches and health coaches and life coaches. Well, love, relationship, and sex needs a coach like nobody's business. So definitely check it out. And for the holiday, we actually have a 4-day tuition special going on where we're actually discounting tuition and putting a payment plan in place, which allows you to spread out payments over how long is it? Over 9 months, right? So get back with me if you're interested. Keep the questions coming. I love the fact that you guys trust me enough with some of your intimate details. And believe me, when these questions come through, sometimes I get goosebumps at them, and I get goosebumps at the response. So I love to help if and when I can. So have a fantastic holiday, keep it light, be safe, and I'll see you guys afterwards. I'm about to go fly a kite. Okay? All right. Hey, Terrence. Terrence, you just missed it. We kind of went over some different questions that people were asking. And it's kind of been really cool, because the big question that really kind of, not stumped me, but really was kind of like, okay, how do I answer this? But this being someone that is just virtual, is really the question of, a young lady had an affair. And it wasn't in exchange for love or feelings or passion. It was actually in exchange for money. And every lady watching this knows that as women and as moms, we'll do whatever it takes to kind of take care of our family. And sometimes that includes the unmentioned mentionable. But I'll also say this too, that every woman watching this also knows that the number one fantasy that ladies have is to get paid for sex. I mean, let's take it out of the context of cheating. You're sitting somewhere and someone comes up and offers you a couple grand for an hour of your time. I mean, I think most women will agree that there's a little bit of a clitoral jump that happens when you hear that scenario playing itself out. So for the young lady who's struggling to help her husband understand that it was just about money, please know that these types of things do get better. It's like any other trauma that happens. If it's dealt with correctly, you can grow from it and learn from it and be from it. Hey, Elena, what's going on? All right, guys, so have a fantastic holiday. Elena and I are going to do some things with Detox. If you don't follow Elena, please do. She's Bodyology as well. She is one of the most fantastic detox professionals I know. And so many people are misunderstand what a detox really is, that we're going to actually kind of go into more about that and some of the things that you can be doing every day to detox, but also what a real detox consists of and why is it even important. So Western medicine doctors, physicians, family medicine physicians don't typically believe in detox, but for those of you who know me, know I'm a functional medicine doctor, and we get down to the cellular level. So I do find a little bit of value, not a little bit of value, but a lot of value in certain detoxes. Now, not these ones that I see on here where you put some cayenne pepper and some lemonade and twirl around in a circle and drink lemon with water all day. That's not really a detox. So we'll talk more about that coming up sometime within the next couple weeks. So thanks for hanging out. I hope you guys are enjoying it. Yes, Elena, I can't wait either. I'm really, really excited. And it's interesting, Elena. We've been talking a lot about detoxing and how it can affect fertility and how it can affect a woman in terms of her vaginal health, her mental health, and so on and so forth, and gentlemen in terms of their erectile function and things. But what was interesting is I got a call from a very close family member who is finally doing her first detox yesterday. And I just felt so excited because Elena and I have been talking about working together and bringing you guys more information about it. And then all of a sudden, you know how you have family members, you love some of them way up here, you love some of them, This is one of the family members that I love, like way up here, was telling me that she's going through, a detox, and I just was so excited about it because I was thinking, hallelujah, it's about time. Because what we don't realize is that between our makeup and our lotions and our soaps and the food that we eat, so many toxic things accumulate in our body and your liver can't get it all out. And so what detoxes are designed to really do is kind of help mitigate that and help your body bring it out naturally and kind of get back to baseline of not having all that toxic stuff. And I think the coolest part about it is if you don't believe it, there's tests. We can test your hair, we can test your saliva, we can test your blood to really kind of help understand what your body is full of that it shouldn't be full of, right? All right. So this is cool. So I always love hanging out with you guys. So I'm about to go pick my little daughter up and we're going to go fly some kites today. So I will see you guys. Hey, Ita baby. Hey, Queen Juice. And I'll see you guys later. All right. Bye. See you guys later.